everyone! Welcome to day 5 of Vlogmas. I'm sorry that it didn't go up earlier. There were some technical difficulties. I had a different video. I didn't like how it got edited. I say got edited like it wasn't me that edited, like I pay someone to do it. I edited it poorly. I didn't like it. I added in music. It got copyrighted. So that video is scrapped. So I'm filming this video now, and hopefully it will be going up only a day late. And then ideally, I'm hoping to get Vlogmas Day 6 up immediately after that. So sorry about that. I thought for today's video I would do a tag. I'm going to be doing the Christmas Carol book tag. I don't remember who originally did it. If I can find their channel and info, I'll link it down below. But basically it's 8 questions that are based around a Christmas Carol, and they all relate to books. So I've got my stack of books here, and we're just gonna get going. So question number one is The Ghost of Christmas Past. Also, if I'm looking down, I have a little notebook here with my questions written down. Question number 1, The Ghost of Christmas Past, a childhood favorite. You'll also, for most of these I picked more than one book. I hope everyone's okay with that. So for a childhood favorite, I went with childhood favorites from when I was little, and then childhood favorite from when I was like 12. So from when I was little, my dad had these Disney's Wonderful World of Reading books when he was a kid, and he gave them to me when I was born. And so we have Donald Duck and the Magic Stick and Goofy Minds the House, and these were 2 of my favorites. I loved reading them. Donald Duck and the Magic Stick is a retelling of like a folk tale where Huey, Dewey, and Louie each leave Donald Duck and get apprenticeships, and they're all gifted with something magic, and then their stuff gets stolen and they have to get it back. It's really fun. And then Goofy Minds the House is when Goofy and his son, who in this one is not actually named Max, it's called Junior, his wife, they do like a work swap. The wife works in the fields, Goofy works in the house, everything goes horribly. I don't know, they're just really, really cute. I did also want to quickly mention, I forgot to grab it, but it's right over there, what's it called, just called Animal Alphabet by Gil Davies. And my dad read this to me probably like every night before bed for 3 years. It's just an animal alphabet book, so every page there's an animal matched up with the letter of the alphabet and a little poem about them, and it is so sweet, and I love it. For my slightly older childhood favorite, we have Elizabeth I, Red Rose of the House of Tudor, by Catherine Lasky. This is in the Royal Diaries series. So the Royal Diaries series is a spin-off of the Dear America books, not the Dear Canada books for all my Canadian friends. And for all my American friends who are watching this, there's a Dear Canada series and a Dear America series, and essentially, book dropped, both of those series deal with historical girls growing up in either America or Canada, writing in a diary. And the Dear America series has a spin-off called the Royal Diaries, where it is specifically royalty. So Elizabeth I, there's one on Cleopatra, there's Anastasia, Christina of, I think, Norway, maybe? Anyways, there's a bunch of different ones, and this one I have, and is my favorite. It's an old library copy that I picked up, or my grandma got me at a thrift store once when she took me there. I was like, I need this, Grandma. She was like, okay. And to this day, I still love this book. Like, I've reread this probably 10 times, and I'm not much of a rereader, so that's quite the statement. But essentially, it's just Elizabeth I writing in a diary about how it is growing up as a royal where your dad is Henry VIII. And it's fabulous, and it really kicked off my love for the Tudors. Maybe not my love for the Tudors. I don't love the Tudors. I love learning about the Tudors. They had their ups and downs and their problems. But I really, really like this. So this was a childhood favorite. Question number 2. The Ghost of Christmas Present, a recent book you think will become an all-time favorite. And again, I have more than one. I have 2 books for this. The first one I read last year, also an old library book, oddly enough. It's Confessions of a Teen Sleuth by Chelsea Kane. And this is a book that is a parody. And it's written like a Nancy Drew, and it follows Nancy Drew as she grows up. So it's, you know, talking about it's basically from Nancy Drew's perspective, but as if she's a real character. So the book opens, readers of Carolyn Keene's version of my life's events may be surprised to learn that Ned Nickerson was not the love of my life. So it's sort of like written almost like a tell-all, and you go through Nancy Drew's adult life, so as she gets older. It's a lot of fun. It's a really cool idea and a cool book, and it's just the best. It's just a lot of fun. So it follows her into like her 60s, 70s. But yeah, this is really fun, and I definitely recommend. So I read this last year, and it was in my top 10 books of the year last year. Then this one, which I read this year, this got 5 stars, obviously, as did this one, is The Past is Red by Catherine M. Valente. So this is a book I actually got out from the library and enjoyed so much I bought a copy, which is a big thing for me, because once I've read a book, it's pretty much almost impossible to get me to buy it, because I'm like, well, I've already read it. Why would I buy it? But this one was so good, I had to own it. So this is first of all, look at that cover. Very nice. And it's a nice matte cover, and it smells good too. This is a sci-fi book set in the future, and it follows a woman or a girl, you follow her at different ages, named Tetley Abednego, and she lives in Garbage Town. And essentially, it is future Earth, where the polar ice caps have melted, everything's underwater, and everybody lives on this huge garbage island. And Tetley grew up in Garbage Town, and as it says on the back, or in the first couple of pages here, my name is Tetley Abednego, and I am the most hated girl in Garbage Town. And you find out why she's the most hated girl in Garbage Town. And something that's really fun, like, things are really different here, obviously, but there's sort of like these fun little things, or not fun, I just find them interesting. So one example is Tetley. She got her name from Tetley Tea. Essentially, you don't have a name until I think you're maybe 12, 10 or 12, somewhere in that zone. And then you get sent out of the house and you go on a walk, and you walk from like your hometown of Garbage Town. Like, Garbage Town is divided into different areas. So there's like light bulb land. It's like all the different patches of different types of garbage. So she starts walking from everyone she knows, and she walks until she doesn't know anybody. And then she walks until someone yells at her. Like, hey, get out of the way, blah. And they call her something. And usually that has to do with garbage that's stuck to them, because on this rite of passage, they're not allowed to wash themselves or clean themselves. So she got yelled at because she had like tea bags stuck to her, so they call her Tetley. So that's her name. I don't know, I just think that's really fun. And it's a really interesting look at both the possibility of the future and climate change, but also at humanity and how we treat each other. And this is actually, it's almost like a bind up, like it's 2 stories. It's split into 2 sections. So the first one is The Future is Blue, and the second half is The Past is Red. But I highly recommend this. It is fantastic. Question number 3. The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, a book coming out soon you're excited for. I actually don't have a book for this. I've been trying to read more backlist books because I have been really, really bad about wanting to read the newest releases. And it's just, I don't know. I want to find, like, gems that people don't know about. Uncovered gems. No, uncovered? Undiscovered gems. That's what I'm looking for. Undiscovered gems, or older books, or books that are out in paperback. So if I want to buy them, I don't have to buy a hardcover, because I prefer reading in paperback, and B, it's just way cheaper. So I've been trying not to keep up with new releases quite as much. So off the top of my head, there's no new releases that I'm like, I need that. I'm sure I know of a couple that I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting, but I'm not, like, super excited about them. So that's my answer for this question. 4. Bah Humbug, a book everyone else loves that you can't stand. So I don't have a book to hold up for this one because if I hated a book, I usually don't keep it. However, I did have one book that I spite kept for a long time so I could hold it up and be like, I despise this book. And that was The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. Which I guess I'll pick for this because although it's a classic, so not everybody loves it, like people are sort of divisive on classics. It's a classic for a reason, and it's because enough people have liked it that we still have to read it in school sometimes. And I had to read it in school. I read it in a third-year university American English literature class, and I despised that book. Me and Ernest Hemingway do not get along. We are not friends. I do not need to read about a man. That's a sentence on its own. I do not need to read about a man. But I do not need to read about a man living in Spain who is impotent and is really sad about it, and everybody else is a terrible character, and he's a terrible character, and he's got an off-again, on-again relationship with this lady, but they can never be together because he's impotent. It was just a lot of nothing. I think I despised it even more because my English professor for that class loved Ernest Hemingway so much. Like, he came to class and he was like, sometimes Ernest Hemingway would spend hours deciding if he needed to put a comma in a sentence. I was like, then he wasn't a good writer. You should know where to put a comma. It shouldn't take you that long. Or he would come to class and he'd be like, he never put in unnecessary words. He was so succinct. I'm like, yeah, his sentences are short, technically, but the book is unnecessary. It could have been like 5 pages, and I had to read 200 pages of this thing. I just do not like Ernest Hemingway's writing. I specifically do not like this story. I do not recommend it to anyone. I do not enjoy it, and I'm very passionate about it. Also, as an aside, I took notes in this book when I was reading it for class, and at one point I just started underlining any time that the main character / Ernest Hemingway's writer mentioned the price of stuff. Like, it happened a lot. Like, he spent a lot of time talking about how much things cost, which I felt was an odd choice, and just sort of the icing on top of the cake for why I did not like this book. So, The Sun Also Rises. I hate it. I hate it so very much. I do not like it. Me and Ernest Hemingway do not gel. We do not go together. Whew. I feel a lot lighter now that I've let that all out. Question number 5. Bob Cratchit, an old dependable you always recommend. And again, I have 2 for this. Things are just better in pairs. So the first one is The Moth Diaries by Rachel Klein, which, fun Christmas story about this. I got this in a Secret Santa exchange in grade 7. A girl named Sage gave me this book. So thank you, Sage, because I still read it and I still talk about it. I actually reread it last year, and I'm thinking I might reread it this year. It's like a gothic-esque novel, so it's got big Halloween energy, but also I got it for Christmas, so I also associate it with Christmas. This follows a girl. She's 16 years old, and she goes to a boarding school in the 70s. She's an unnamed narrator. She doesn't have a name, and this is written diary style. As you can see, I like books that are written diary style. I was big into the Dear Canada series, The Royal Diaries, now this. Anyways, she goes to a boarding school. She has her best friend whose name is Lucy. They're like this. They're BFFs. And then a new girl, Arnessa, moves in, and she starts getting jealous of her. But it's not just that. She's pretty sure Arnessa's a vampire, and she is slowly sucking the life out of Lucy. And it's incredible. It's fantastic. I love it. It looks at what it's like being a teen girl, particularly a teen girl in the 70s, but it also looks at, like, vampires and gothic stuff and female relationships. All of the characters in this are so complex and fleshed out. I love it. I love it. Also, the book opens with a little write-up from your narrator, basically saying her therapist is telling her to reread through this diary and journal to understand the complex feelings that she had when she was 16 and why things went the way she did. So you also get sort of a retrospective at the beginning, and then they cut to that at the end as well. It's just great, and I highly recommend it. I also want to recommend Tooth and Claw by Joe Walton. So this book I actually saw on another YouTuber's channel, so Jean Bookish Thoughts, who I've been watching since I was in like high school, recommended this book and it sounded fantastic. So I asked for it for Christmas one year, also a Christmas book, and I didn't get it, but I did get a gift card, so then I bought it after Christmas. And I read it and I loved it. Essentially, this is like a Regency novel where all of the characters are dragons. It's Pride and Prejudice, but every single character is a dragon. And it's fabulous. It's about this dragon family and the patriarch dies and it follows the siblings. So 2 sisters and 3 brothers. No, 3 sisters and 2 brothers, but one of the sisters is married, so there's a brother-in-law. That's where I'm getting confused. And it follows them after their father's death. And you're like, oh, okay. The best part about this is you're reading along and you're like, yes, a Regency novel. And then they're like, they did a ceremonial eating of their father. And you're like, what? And then you remember that they're dragons. It's fabulous. Yes, it's so good. And I love it. And I will spoil a little bit for it. It does have a happy ending. So it's a nice, comforting book. Definitely recommend this. I have never read anything like it. And I doubt I will ever read anything like it again, which is sad because it's so good. Okay, question number 6 is Tiny Tim, an underhyped book that you think deserves, that's the word I wrote there, deserves more love. And again, I have 2 books for this. So the first one is Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica, and this is translated by Sarah Moses. So this one has actually been getting a decent amount of hype on, I haven't seen it so much on BookTube, but I have seen it on Bookstagram. But I still think it deserves more hype. This is a sci-fi dystopian novel set in a world where there has been some sort of disease that's wiped out or has made most animals unsafe to eat, let alone like interact with. Like people don't have pets anymore, but you also can't eat meat. So, what is the next best thing to eating an animal? Eating a person. So, cannibalism has been made okay, basically. And the main character in this is a man named Marcos, and he works at a local processing plant for humans. He works at a human slaughterhouse. And it gives you a lot of interesting thoughts on what it means to be human and how people could possibly treat other people so horribly and horrifically as they do in this book. So this was a really interesting read. And it's definitely like slightly horrific and scary. So if you're looking for something scary and creepy, do read this. Also, the ending, not to spoil anything, I know some people were disappointed by the ending. I loved the ending. I thought it really tied the book together and definitely made a comment. That's all I'll say. My other one, I've heard one other person talk about. And they were the person who recommended me the book. They had a BookTube channel called Possibly Literate. She doesn't upload anymore, but I think all of her videos are still up, and she recommended this. And it's The Refrigerator Monologues by Catherine M. Valente. 2 Catherine M. Valente books in one video. Unbelievable. I'm a huge fan. So this is a collection of short stories that are connected. The basic plot for this is that you yourself are in the underworld and you are meeting a bunch of dead women. And these women tell their stories. And the reason all of these women are dead and in the underworld is because they were fridged. So being fridged is a common trope, specifically in superhero stories and narratives, where a woman is killed off to either further the hero's journey or to create some sort of conflict in the story for the main hero. They're killed off as a plot device for a man. And so you hear the stories of all of these women. And a lot of them are based off of, or not a lot, but some of them you can sort of see threads to characters in actual media. I don't know, like actual superhero media. So there's a character that's sort of like Harley Quinn, stuff like that. But this is fantastic. I love this book. first of all, the short stories and looking at how women are fridged and, like, the female rage within this is so well done. All of the characters are so complex, and they have such complex emotions, and they all feel some sort of way. But also, like, the way that the author, Catherine M. Valente, has written the underworld is really unique. Just, like, so in between each of these stories, you're in the underworld at, like, a, not quite, but like a support group for these women. And her idea of the underworld is just so fantastic. But yes, this is fabulous. And it really subverts the idea of women being fridged. So, Sam, I know you're watching this, and you posted a YouTube video talking about Christopher Nolan's women and how a lot of the women in that are not fully fleshed out and are just there to further the plot. I think you would really like this. Let me know if you want to borrow it. I will lend it to you. Also, for anyone interested, I will link Sam's video down below. It's fantastic. I love it. Question number 7. Today, why it's Christmas Day. What's a book that always gets you in the Christmas mood? So again, I have 2, and they are also from the Disney's Wonderful World of Reading series. We have Merry Christmas, Uncle Scrooge McDuck, and A White Christmas. So these I did talk about in my Christmas TBR, so I won't go into them too much, but they're just really sweet little Disney Christmas stories, and I don't know, they're just cute and fun and festive. So yes, those, also Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Night Before Christmas all definitely get me in the Christmas spirit. I didn't read a lot of Christmas books growing up, mainly just like kids' Christmas picture books, but I did read a couple of other ones. Earlier I talked about the Dear Canada series. There's a book in the Dear Canada series called If I Die Before I Wake, The Flu Epidemic Diary of Fiona McGregor, which doesn't sound very fun, but it has some great Christmas scenes in it, and I always liked reading those around Christmas. So I guess that as well. Alright, and then the 8th and final question is The Muppet Christmas Carol, a favorite film adaptation of a book. So, I love A Christmas Carol. I guess that's a book that also gets me in the Christmas mood, but I forgot to mention it in the last question. That question has the caveat, it cannot be A Christmas Carol. So, anyways, I love A Christmas Carol. I love all the film adaptations of that book. A Muppet's Christmas Carol is probably my favorite. Disney's Christmas Carol with Scrooge McDuck as Scrooge, fantastic, perfect casting. Scrooged with Bill Murray, great stuff. Bah Humduck, fantastic. I talked about all of these in my movies to watch during Christmas time video. So I do love all of those, and technically they're all adaptations of. Alright, so that is all of the questions. I've talked for 25 minutes about these books, so hopefully I can get this edited down to a watchable number of minutes, and hopefully I can get it onto YouTube. I film and edit these all on my phone, and I'm running out of space on my phone, so hopefully I can get these done. We will see. So bye everyone, I hope you like these books. Let me know your answers to these questions. Feel free to do this tag if you want to. I would love to see other people doing this tag. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and I will see you in the next Vlogmas video. Bye!